CSIS 2440 is filmed before a live studio audience.
So let's take a look at this form here. What we're going to do is we're going to process this form and deal with error messages so that we have 3 error messages. Last time we met, we had the palindrome page where we're dealing with 2 error messages, but 3 can be trickier. So let's play around with this. And this will be our form, and then we'll process this on a second page called process that we'll build in just a minute. So action is we're going to send this to something called process, which we shall build momentarily. Let's just look at this form here, and let's give it a better name than test. So here we are with our form, and let's go ahead and run it in the browser. Let's see what this looks like. Validation stuff right there. All right, here it is. It's asking for city, zip, and phone number, right? So we can just put those 2 there, and we'll put in a phone number right here. And it's just going to go to the process page, which does nothing, right? So what we want to do is build some error trapping in the process page and send it back to this page here and make messages based on what stuff they missed or didn't miss, all right? So we're just going to see if they filled it out. We're not going to bother doing any regular expression or anything like that. You guys can do that part on your own, but what we'll do is just see if it's blank or not. That should be easy enough. So here we go. If we have time, we'll add in maybe some regular expression. So what's the first thing we need to be looking for here? What do we want to do here? Do we want to look for just one, all 3? Do we want to do a complex and statement or an or statement? What do we want to do? So if all of them are filled out, move on and live your life, right? Otherwise not. Okay, so we'll say is not empty. Okay, let's start here. If city's not empty, state's not empty, or sorry, city, zip, I'm going to change that. That's because I'm going to keep saying state. So might as well change it. State, sorry about that. Doesn't matter. I just don't want to keep saying the wrong thing every time, right? Okay, so if city, state, and phone are not empty, keep going. Let's just think for a minute if we were going to validate the type of data, okay? If they're not empty, great. What should we do next? We would right here do our regular expression, right? So maybe we should do that. Let's just make sure there's something there. We'll do a simple regular expression because I want to deal with what happens if the regular expression's off. Because if this is the case where they're all there, they're not empty, let's just make sure some valid something's there, right? So let's check each one of those individually. And let's do, what do we want to do? Preg match, what? Let's just see that there's a word character in it. That's good enough for now. What we're trying to do here, if city is wrong and everything else is right, somehow tell the previous page, hey, you missed the city. If city and state is wrong, but phone is right, somehow tell the previous page, hey, you got city and state missing, but phone's good. If they're all 3, right, we want a message based on what's missing, right? So let's start off by doing the same kind of trick we did with our palindrome thing the other day, which is incrementing a little error code variable. So let's start off at the very top here. We'll set error code equal to 0. All right. And we can just simply say error code plus equals 1. And let's just try this for each of these. Error code plus equals. We talked about doing this in binary with multiple fields. Let's see how this plays out. Plus equals 4. So starting off right now, error code 1 and only 1 means they only missed the city. Error code 2 and only 2 means they only missed the state. And error code 4 means they only missed the phone. Error code 3 means what? They missed city and state, right? Error code 5 means city and phone. And error code 6 means state and phone. And all of them would be 7. Let's see how this plays out, right? Imagine if you have multiple ones that can get bigger. Well, let's just start here, okay? If it is empty, then we have a different problem, right? If city's missing but state and phone are there, well, we can handle this a couple ways. Way number 1 is we can just send it back to them saying, hey, fill everything out. The end. We could do that, right? Or we could be more specific. But being more specific can get really messy. I think it's a fair and decent user experience to say, hey, you missed something. Fill everything out first. And then, once they filled everything out, if they screwed up the way they filled it out, then yell at them in line 5 through 7, right? So in other words, something like this. Else code for missing a field, okay? So what is that code going to look like? We just want to send back some sort of an error message that says they didn't fill everything out. Well, at the moment, if you're in line 10 or line 11, what does EC equal at the moment? It equals 0. So maybe in this scenario, with error code being 0, we can use that in our case statement as well. If the error code is 0, say, hey, fill everything out. Something like that. So I'm assuming right now that you guys remember the rough way we did this with the palindrome page with the switch statement in the multiple cases. Yep. Yeah, and we're going to do that again right now, basically. All right, so let's start here. Let's walk through this code again, what's basically happening. If all of the fields are filled in, line 3, then now check to see if they have the proper structure, right? If they do, then we're done and we're going to skip down to line 13. If they do not, however, we need to do a header redirect right here, right? And also here, if they're missing a field, we're going to be doing a header redirect, a different one, but we will be doing one. So if we have an error code at all, we're going to do whatever the header thing will be. We'll fill that out in a minute. Location is something, we don't know what yet. And down here, if you get to this point, there will not be an error code. It will be 0. Agreed? Okay. But we need to do a header. Don't know what exactly yet. So lines 5 through 7, I think, are great, other than the regular expression is crap. But fix the regular expression on your own. But line 8 is the first part we got to build. We need to send some message back to our index page saying, hey, what am I supposed to do here? So we know we're going back to the index, so that's just dot. And we know we're going to tack on a variable for an error code. Is going to equal something. Well, the something is going to be the error code. We got that part. But we also don't want to lose any data that was populated, right? Well, we could assign a new variable to city, state, and phone. It's totally legitimate. You can do that. Or you can just dump the post directly into the URL if you want, right? So let's do it that way since we've always done it the other way in the past. That's one less variable we're creating. So let's just continue this out. In fact, I'm going to remove this for a minute. And we want to also add in here, and phone equals something, and city equals something, and state equals something, right? That's what we need to build. Well, remember when we're doing our little concatenation trick, just quote, dot, dot, quote, and then between the dots is what we're going to concatenate on there. Quote, dot, dot, quote, quote, dot, dot, quote. I do it this way because if I don't, I'll miss something, I'll screw something up, right? So for the error code, we're literally just going to put error code right there. For phone, we're going to just put the post right there, the post variable, whatever's in phone, right? For city, we're going to put in city. And then for state, we're going to tack that on right at the end down here. That's it. If there's an error code, that means it's going to be 1, 2, 4, anything between 1 and 7, right? 1 through 7. It'll be one of those combinations. Then make this long URL, send it back to the original page, and let's do something with it on the original page. We're all good there? Okay. All right. Now, if, however, we're missing something, then we're going to also do a location redirect or a header redirect. In this case, we don't need to bother passing in the error code, or we could just pass it in as 0. But we also want to keep what they did enter, right? We do want to keep the pieces that they did enter. They left city empty, but they filled out state and phone. So we basically can just do this whole thing here, pretty much, except we don't need the error code, right? Or we can just pass in the error code equals 0. Let's just do that, okay? Because it will be 0. Okay, let's first actually put data in there. That's not going to be an issue. And we should not get any issues. It should just go to the process page, and it does. We're good. In fact, let's put a little message there so we know we made it. We'll just say, yay, or echo, yay, you made it. And there you go. See, it says, yay, you made it. Okay? Okay, so this is good. So this is simple. We've passed everything back in the URL, one way or the other. Let's go back now and fill it out, but put what's a non-word character we can put? Okay, so it did come back to this page, and it did keep the phone up here. See, phone equals exclamation, city equals West Valley, and state equals Utah. Okay, so everything's coming through. Now let's deal with it. This is the tricky part. This is the part that when you do your validation homework assignment, it's going to throw you guys for a loop because this is a little bit trickier. This is the part that's going to be fun. So we need to, at the very beginning, capture all these variables, right? So let's open up some PHP up here, and we want to capture the get. Let's first just take what's in the get and stick it in the form for the pieces, so perpetuating the data, persisting the data, right? So let's start there. All right, so we got those, and we basically just want to set them to a variable, right? All right, so let's figure out how to do that. If there's something there, assign it to the variable, otherwise make the variable blank, right? City, else, C equals nothing. Now, instead of doing this else statement every time, we could actually do this. Let's just up here set a bunch of variables. Now they're all set to nothing, and we'll only change it on the if statement. We'll save us a little bit of space, right? Let's pause for just a minute, make sure we understand exactly what just happened here. Line 2, I'm just setting up some empty variables. Line 4 through 7, if those 4 gets exist, or any of them exist, I will grab the get and stick it in those 4 empty variables, whichever ones have some values. So in other words, if there is something in the city get, then I will assign it to C. Otherwise, C will just remain blank. So what she said was that we need to set EC to 0 instead of empty string. And yeah, that's probably a good idea just to be safe. Yep, you're probably right about that. Because we're going to use it in our case statement. And we're going to use it as 0. Yeah. Okay, good catch. All right, now let's just put these as values inside of our fields here. So we're just going to do value equals. Okay, so this is our data persistency done. Let's test it, but this should be it. The last piece, which is the trickiest piece of all, is this big switch statement. We'll come to that in a minute. All right, here we go. Refresh this. Let's clear these variables out, and let's leave something blank. We'll leave the phone blank. It should come right back to here and have some stuff in the URL, and West Valley and Utah should still be there. And they are. Okay, let's delete this and put a phone, and it should stay the same, but the URL should change. So just keep your eyes on the URL. When I refresh here with submit, and the URL changed, but the forms kept their data. Okay, data persistence done. Finally, error trapping. Okay, let's just set up a little field here for message. Message equals also empty string, and that'll be our error message, maybe E message. And then down here, actually we can do it all right here in our switch statement. We'll just build the error message. So we're going to do a switch on what? EC, yep. We know what each one of those means. In fact, we should probably make a comment that has that in it, right? So let's just copy this for a minute just as a little frame of reference just for 2 seconds. I do this all the time, by the way. I'll copy real code into a comment just so I can look at it. Okay, so we know that what 1 is. 1 is missing city. Look at the groupings. Is there any way to group these so that we can have a switch without a break or a case without a break? Right? In the palindrome thing we did the other day, there was only 2 errors that we could get. Missing the palindrome number or missing the word to search for. And so it was easy to put 3 at the top and just break through. Okay, so let's try it by putting 7 at the top here. And if we had 7 at the top, and then somehow we could do a 4, 2, and 1 with no breaks. Actually, that's not a bad idea. So let's put 4 right here, and 2 and 1 right there. So here's a good starting point. And this may not be the ultimate approach we take, but let's just play here and see what happens. If I get a 7, then really what I have is a 4, 2, and a 1. So I could basically just say, if not 7, break. So let's start by putting the message here, right? So the message will be, and then down here, we'll just, below the form, echo the message. It'll either echo nothing, which is fine, or it'll echo one of those things. Okay, now let's try it out. Let's put exclamation point for all three of those, and we should get all three. I'll deal with that error in a minute, but wrong format for phone, state, and city. That worked. What's this? Oh, error message, sorry. Error message. Okay. Refresh that. There we go. So that looks good. Let's put something here, and now it should only say that I'm missing the phone. It does. Okay, so now let's figure out the other ones. Well, a 3 is city and state, right? So a 3 could just go right here, and then we have to deal with this. Oh, and so in other words, each of our if statements here are going to be the actual number of the case. Yeah, that's a better idea. Okay, so let's move this back out of here for just a minute. And let's change these so if it is equal to 4. And so if we put 7 at the top, that gives us all 3. If I put 3, which is city and state, I put that right here, case 3, and that'll just give us 2 and 1. If I do city and phone, okay, so we want to rearrange things a little bit here, right? Right, so now if I want, so that'll give me, 3 still gives me city and state, and then 5, which is city and phone, I could put here, but 5 will basically be 7, wouldn't it? 7 works fine, but 5 will work exactly like 7. And so what we want to do we want 5 to be city and phone. So if it's equal to 1 or error code equals 5. That makes 5 work properly, right? And then we have state and phone. So we can put 6 right below this as well, starting up here, right? State and phone, and so it gives us phone, which is good. And then when we get to city, we don't even want to look at it if it's 6, right? So if error code is not equal to 6, do this. Let's see what happens if I leave it like that. So this is one piece. If it's not 6, grab this. And then either way, this line runs no matter what. Yeah, that's fine. But 6 is going to pick up the state, which is what we want it to do. Yeah, that should do it. And we'll just do a case 0, and we won't even bother with the dot equals. We'll just say error message equals fill everything out. All right, I think we're there. Here we go. Refresh, fill everything out. That's obviously a problem we'll deal with in a minute, because you don't want that to be there the first time, right? Okay, that's annoying. Whatever. We'll deal with that in a second. Let's check everything out. So let's put something here, and we should still get fill everything out because I missed phone. Let's put a phone, but let's make Utah the wrong thing. And wrong format for state. Wrong format, that's no good. Fill everything out. So let's look at the error code. The error code is 3. So 3, if it's not 6, it's not, then do this. We should have gotten that. Oh, it didn't break though. Yeah, so let's put that at the top. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so this is not good, but that's fine. We can deal with that in a minute. All right, so let's put that and that. Wrong phone, wrong state. And we'll do that. Wrong city, wrong state. And we'll leave phone and city. You tried that yet? What did I just do? That was weird. I don't know what just happened there. Wrong phone, wrong city. So it looks like it's working. I mean, we could test everything, but I'm pretty sure that's working, right? Okay. Oh, I opened up a second copy somehow. I don't know what I did there. Okay, so yeah, this is not the cleanest thing of it all, and adding a fourth thing in there could get even scarier. Yeah. There's actually a cleaner way to do this. We can set up 4 variable messages here. 1 for phone, 1 for city, 1 for state. And then do the math and concatenate the pieces we need. Does that make sense? In other words, let's do this. We have error message array. So this should work if we do something like this now. Let's come in here, and for the case of 7, we say, what's it called? E-message is equal to error message 1 concatenated with 2 and 4. Okay, and we have what, case 6, which is just 2 and 4. Variable name is kind of big, and maybe we could have used an associative array, but I think this works, and you get the idea, and you can do this with, this can scale a lot better than that other mess we were doing a minute ago, right? So let's run it, make sure, change our regular expression so that it has to be a number, so it'd be easier to do the data testing here. So we want everything to be a number, which is ridiculous, but that's fine. All right, so here we go, let's clean this out. Let's just start with nothing, and already we're missing our fill it out. We'll deal with that in a minute. But we want everything to be a number. So that's not a number, that's not a number, and that is, let's put with the parentheses, that doesn't count. So we should get an error for all 3. Nice. Error message. Oh, yeah, okay, so, oops, typo here. It's probably going to be easier to change the top one. Jeez.
You could find a replace.
Okay, yeah, you could. All right, so here we go. Wrong state, wrong city. This is working because it does have numbers in it, so let's just put a T there. And city, state, phone. Okay, so far so good. City and phone are wrong, is that right? Okay. Just the city. That's good. Now we'll change that. So that's the middle one was the state, right? I think we got it, guys. Yeah. Okay, so now let's just change one other thing. Let's make sure we get, when there's error code 0, we can just, well, we just make a case for it, right? The case 0, then 0. And we need to be careful though, because we only want this to occur if the form has been processed. So we can do all of this whole mess up here in a big fat if statement right here. And we'll just look in the get. So we'll say is set the get and whatever our submit button is called, which doesn't have a name at the moment. So name equals process or submit button. We'll just call it submit button, whatever. Okay, so we're going to look to see if the submit button, if that is set, then do all of this stuff. Because if it's not, who cares, right? If they didn't push the button, we don't want to do anything. All right, so one last test here. Clear it all out. Nothing's there. When I click submit, I should get that error message though, which I did not. Oh, that should have been post. There we go. Sorry about that. I do that a lot. Okay. So now it should give it to us. Nope. Name submit button.
So is that going in the post?
Oh, it's not. You're right. It's not. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. I see now. Yeah, because it's not the post is not happening on the post from this page is not ever seen.
Yeah.
Because we go right to the process page. Yeah. Yeah, that works perfectly if you're processing on the same page, which you will be doing for your t-shirt assignment. Okay, so the fix for that is, well, here's another way that I'll do this all the time. And I'll put it right here. I'll add an extra variable, and I'll just say submit equals true,
Okay.
right? That it was submitted, whoops, and error code, and now we'll just come in here.
Check for that.
Yeah, we'll go back to this, we're back and forth on this. 0, at this point, it doesn't look like that even matters. But we're gonna check in the get, if $get sub, is what I called it, I believe, is, well, we'll just say is set. And it's exactly set to true. We wanna be very specific on this one. That on my parentheses, put that, and that should solve it right there. So we hit enter, nothing, I click submit. Still,
Wait, so something you need to save on the index? I don't think you saved on the index.
I did save on the index.
What on process? I think it's
Process is saved.
no, it's saved.
It's in the URL, look.
It's right there. Something is true. Error code is 0.
Oh, because I did triple equal. It needs to be the word true. Yeah. My gosh.
Nope.
Okay, that looks right. Click submit. Bam.
There we go.
And we can just assume all the other stuff still works. Anyway, sorry about that. That's the complexity of submitting on the same page
Yeah.
versus processing on a separate page. So I'm glad those errors got caught on film. They're good ones to walk through. Thanks for sticking around, guys.